Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA season is over. Now it's time to talk about top 10 lists. Who are the top 10 best players in the NBA today? And who's the top 10 going to be coming into next year? Top 10 all time. Y'all know these conversations happen right after the NBA season is done. And I am no exception to that rule. I want to make a top 10 list because I want you all to see how I perceive basketball. And I just want to see what other people are thinking, see if I have a somewhat all around list, get other people's thoughts and opinions on my list to see what tweaks I can make to my list as well. Now, before we start, there are a few things that I want to mention in my top 10 list. First is that I do take into consideration like health, how many games you played, you know what I'm saying? And I take into consideration how well you do on both offense and defense. I'm not an only just one side kind of guy, but I do understand that some players' offensive skill sets are so astronomically good that it oversees their defensive skill sets. Like, for example, prime James Harden, right? 2018 James Harden, he was averaging 36 a game and was terrible on defense. Y'all wouldn't tell me James Harden wasn't the top 5 player back then, even though he was atrocious on defense. And that's really all the stipulations for my top 10 list. I try to take everything into account while providing context for almost every player. Yeah, let's get right into it. Or actually, let's not get right into it, my bad. But to start this off, I want to mention a few honorable mentions, players who I feel like can be swapped out with the number 10 spot on any given day. It's just they weren't healthy enough this season. Like, I didn't see enough games from either one of them this season. And the first player that I'm going to mention is Damian Lillard. Now, Dame, of course, could easily be a top 10 player in the NBA. But this season, he started off shooting slow. Obviously, on the defensive end, just isn't as good. But he was still averaging 24 points. He's grown as a playmaker. But like I said, man, he just didn't play enough games this year, and I didn't get to see enough of Dame. Same with Anthony Davis. Easily a top 5 defender in the NBA when healthy. Career 25 point per game score. Like, let's be honest, bro. AD is that nigga on both ends of the court when healthy, but that's the only problem, when healthy. So, he only played, 40 games this season? So, that it really deterred me from putting him in the top 10 when you can't play enough games to even be in consideration. My last honorable mention was Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, we know Kawhi had the ACL injury, and that's why he didn't play this year. But the last time we saw Kawhi was in the playoffs. He was averaging like 30 a game on 56% shooting, which was crazy. Obviously, he's top 3 two-way player in the league. The reason why I put him in the honorable mentions, even though he didn't even play this year, is for the simple fact of his playoff elevation. We know what Kawhi does in the postseason. He elevates his performance every time. So yeah, man, that's my honorable mentions. Let me know what you all think about that, and let's move on to number 10. At number 10, I have James Harden. Now, as for why I have Harden at 10, this year he was averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. Didn't shoot the most efficiently, only at 41% overall from the field and 33% from 3. But he did shoot 87% from the foul line. Is still an elite facilitator for both of the teams that he was on this season. That means the Nets and the 76ers. So, to me, James Harden is still top 10 talent, but I don't know if he has that work ethic to go any higher than 10. Now, as for the reason, like I just said, why he's not higher than 10, his work ethic, we just don't know what Harden will come in looking like season year in and year out. This was the worst shooting career of his year. Like, statistically, if you look at all field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, this was his worst shooting year. He clearly has lost that explosive step that he once had in Houston and even last year on the Nets. So pre-hamstring injury. And in the playoffs, Harden is not that good of a player, bro. And I don't know what it is, but he just can never seem to get it right in the playoffs. This year showed it even more, because even when he had Joel Embiid, Harden was still averaging only 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists a game on 40% shooting, 36% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line against the Heat. Now, you all might be thinking to yourselves, that's not bad. But when you're paying a guy $40+ million, when you basically traded 5 players for 1 player, you want more than 18 points per game from that player. While he was also giving you 4 turnovers a game, so giving the other team points. And yeah, man, it's just the playoff meltdowns and no defense, and clearly has lost a step on offense. Like, you have to be so astronomically good on offense, Harden, that it subsides your defense. And that has not been Harden this year. That's why I have Harden only at 10. Now let's go to number 9. At number 9, I have Trae Young. Now you all might be thinking, well, Trae Young is basically James Harden. They both are elite offensive players, but are terrible on defense. And to that, I might give you that. Or no, I will give you that. What are you talking about? Oh, but what is the difference? What is the difference between Harden and Trae Young? Well, I'm going to get it to you straight like this. Trae Young averaged 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists on 46% shooting, 38% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. Trae Young is a better scorer than James Harden currently is, and he's more efficient than James Harden currently is. Now, in the first half of the season, Trae Young was struggling heavily, but in that second half, he picked it up and was amazing. He led the league in total points and assists, so he was an elite offensive generator this year. Now, the only reason he's at number 9 for me is because, obviously, the playoff meltdown against the Heat, he only averaged about 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting a abysmal 31% overall, 18% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. That's just atrocious. And he's also the worst defender in the league. Like, that's not even up for debate. So you all might be thinking to yourself, why is he above Harden? Why is he above Harden? Well, Trae Young doesn't have a Joel Embiid on his team. Trae Young is also the number 1 option on his team. I mean, that's really all you need to know. Trae Young is actually the only capable player of giving himself efficient offense by himself on the Atlanta Hawks, besides a inconsistent Josh Collins, who wants, I don't even know, $30 million a year? Yeah, all right. But yeah, that's why Trae Young is, to me, and I feel like this should be to everyone, better than James Harden, because they're almost the same players, or they're the exact same players, nearly, except Trae Young is a lot younger. Now, at number 8, I have Jason Tatum. Now, you all might be thinking, whoa, this is kind of low for a guy who just made the finals. But hear me out. Jason Tatum, that's why I have him at number 8. Averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists this year on 45% shooting, 35% from 3, 85% from the line. You know what I'm saying? Led his team to the number 2 seed in the conference, in the tougher conference at that. You know what I'm saying? Clear development on the defensive end. And as for why he's only number 8, it was the slow start off to me. We all know Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the Celtics are a good team. But it seems like every year when the season starts off, these guys always start off slow. They always are choking games they should be winning. And it does get kind of annoying, but I can't put all of that on Tatum. So that's why I still have him top 10. Now, as for the reason he could be higher, is because obviously he was the driving factor in the Celtics midseason turnaround, because they picked it up. Like I said, they picked it up. He led his team to a finals berth after facing players like KD in the Nets, Giannis in the Bucks, Jimmy Butler in the Heat. Now, you all are going to say, whoa, well, he should be above Giannis, KD, Durant, you know, whoever you're going to say because he beat them. And I would say that's fine. But let's not act like that whole Boston defensive scheme didn't clamp down. Like, yes, Jason Tatum, he did take on tough assignments throughout the playoffs. Guarding a player like KD wasn't just Jason Tatum, if you get what I'm saying. Now, the only reason Tatum is lower than his dude above him is because of his playmaking. If Tatum could become a better playmaker, he would easily be at least top 7, bare minimum. But it was the fact that his playmaking is just so atrocious, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure he's the first player in NBA history to have 100 turnovers in a postseason. Crazy. Should never happen. But yeah, he's going to stay at number 8 for me. And the person at number 7 is actually the dude he beat in the playoffs. And I have Kevin Durant. As for why KD is at number 7, he averaged 37-6 this year on 50% shooting overall, 38% from 3, 91 from the free throw line. Led his team to 44 wins while Kyrie was missing time and James Harden basically quitting on the Nets, forcing his way out. Now, as for why he's only at number 7, bruh, we know. The Celtics put the straps on that nigga, had him in a cage, ladies and gentlemen. Had Durant averaging only 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 38% shooting, 33% from the 3, and 89 from the line, with 5 turnovers a game. I mean, that Celtics defense, ladies and gentlemen, was legit. The reason I say number 7 is because obviously the Celtics defense, best defense in the league, was mainly focused on KD. A lot of people are stat nerds and all that. You want your guy to shoot 44% or above every series. And I understand that, but I'm not going to sit up here and fault KD and Kyrie for shooting bad when literally no one else on their team was showing up besides Seth Curry. And that was really it. Bruce Brown had a big one game, and that was the rest we seen of him. But essentially, the reason I give KD the nod over Tatum is because I feel like his skill, obviously he's just a better talent, and it's fucking Kevin Durant. I don't believe he'll ever have a playoff series like this again. I know I'm gonna get a lot of people mad with this one, because I know a lot of people that think this guy is still top 5 in the NBA. But at number 6, I have LeBron James. Where do I start? I mean, we talking about a top 2 player all time. You know, obviously LeBron James in year 19 averaging 38-6 on 52% shooting, 36% from 3, 75% from the free throw line. I mean, that's ridiculous, bro, honestly. And the fact that he's the only consistent players on the Lakers, it shows me some type of value to him. Like, it's crazy that him at age 38 is the most consistent player when you have players like Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook on your team who are way younger than you, should be in way better shape than you. As for why LeBron is number 6, obviously we know he's dominant. Fuck, you just seen the stats. He dominates the advanced stats. And to be fair, LeBron James might actually be the best player at everything on his team. And that is speaking volumes. Because although that might sound cool, like, oh, LeBron James has been the best player at everything on his teams before. What do you mean? No, bruh. Like on Miami, he was not the best shooter. He was not the best defender. Like, he was not the best scorer. You could argue Dwayne Wade. Like, you see what I'm saying? There were arguments to be had. LeBron James quite literally being the best player at everything for this Lakers team this season speaks volumes to how bad the team was and how good LeBron James is. So it's not just a one-way thing. It goes both ways, if you all get what I'm saying. Now, as for the reason he's only number 6, well, I do value winning somewhat, even though I know what was happening with the Lakers. A healthy team does give you all a chance to gel together, build that chemistry. But I mean, I can't see a player not making the playoffs higher than any of the rest of these dudes, bro. Because everyone underneath LeBron made the playoffs at least. As for number 5, man, my number 5 player in the world today, it's going to be Joel Embiid. Now, as for Joel Embiid, why do I think he's top 5? Well, he's a big man, averaged 30, 12, and 4 a game on 50% shooting, 37% from 3, and 81% from the free throw line. We all know he's elite at foul baiting, people may call it, or foul drawing. Led his team to 51 wins in the tougher Eastern Conference. I know people want to say the Eastern Conference hasn't been as good, but it was definitely tougher this year. I don't care what anyone says. Led his team to 51 wins in the tougher conference, while his number 2 option basically missed half of the season, and Ben Simmons. That's actually crazy to me. That shows that Joel Embiid can't carry a team, at least for right now. Obviously finished this season top 3 in MVP candidates. Now, as for why he's only 5, well, the production in that Miami series has slipped a little bit, you know what I'm saying? If you're going against a great defense, then all great players should struggle. No, it shouldn't be like that. If you're a great player and you're playing a great defense, it doesn't matter how good the defense is. You're a great player. You make shots that other players can't because you're great. And this is where we get to the nitpicking area. There's just so much these players do in the top 5 that you almost have to pick nit to determine who's better than who. And that's just one of the nits I had to pick for Joel. But it's not like his production just dropped immensely. Like, he's still giving you 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists on 48% shooting, 21% from 3 though, which is atrocious, and 82% from the free throw line. The playoffs is really, to me, where people make their money. If your production slips from the regular season to the playoffs, it can't be that big of a drop-off. And that is the reason why I have this player above Joel at number 4, and that being Nikola Jokic. Why do I have Jokic at number 4? Well, back-to-back MVP. Obviously, this year he dominated the stats line with 27 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists per game on 58% shooting, 33% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. And what separates these next coming players from the players this year was their elevation in the playoffs. They didn't shrink in the playoffs. They elevated their play. And this year's playoffs, Jokic against the Warriors, and this is a small sample size, but even the fact that he made the playoffs without his number 2 and 3 option shows a lot about Nikola Jokic. But like I said, he elevated his playoff play, went from 27 points, 31 points per game, 13 rebounds, 6 assists on 57% shooting. And like I just said, bro, he led his team to 44 wins, I believe, while missing his second and third best player on the team. 2 20-point per game scores easily. As for why he's only number 4, well, obviously Jokic just isn't that good on defense. And it's hard to build around a center who basically is not that good of a defender. Like, you have to have some type of rim protection, some type of defensive value if you're going to be a big man in today's day. And Jokic, people kind of attack that nigga in the pick and roll and on defense. So that's the reason he's only number 4, but his offensive skill set is so good. As for number 3, my favorite player in the NBA today, Luka Doncic. Now, you all might be saying, well, Luka doesn't play defense. Well, if you were listening close enough, I said it's harder to build around a center who doesn't play defense as well. Luka is not a center. Luka is a guard. You can make stuff work with offensive heavy guards that don't play defense. We've seen it in the past. But anyways, why is Luka Doncic top 3 in the NBA today? Well, I'm gonna give you all some time. Sight, nigga. But anyways, the reason Luka is top 3 in NBA, he's been all NBA first team 3 consecutive seasons. And he's only been in the league for 4 years. Make that make sense. He was voted as a top 5 NBA player. Not even top 5. He was voted as a top 2 player at his position in the NBA consecutively for 3 years. And he's only been in the NBA for 4 years. That's crazy. This year, he averaged 28 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists on 45% shooting, 35% from 3. And what's different about this nigga Luka, right? He's still in his 20s, bro. This nigga's super young. I believe he's only 23, 24. Bruh, this nigga playoff elevation is crazy, dog. Like, it's crazy. He elevates his play so much in the playoffs that it's damn near ridiculous. He's averaging 32 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists on 45% shooting, 34% 3. Like, bruh, what 22-year-old is averaging essentially a near triple-double, a guaranteed double-double. And he's giving you 32 a game, the second highest playoff scoring average in NBA history for players that qualify for that. The reason I say Luka's top 3 is obviously because he just won his first couple of playoff series. We know the context as behind why he didn't win the first 2 playoff series when you're going against such good perimeter defenders in Paul George, Kawhi, and the Clippers, but he was still torching them niggas. That's why I think Luka's top 3. As for the reason I can't go any higher, it's obviously the defensive end, and this team just hasn't won enough. That's it. Now. I know there are 2 people you all are probably thinking I haven't named yet. And yeah, these are the last 2. At the second best player in the world today, I have Steph Curry. Man, I know this might be very controversial, but I don't really think it is, bruh. But I'm going to give y'all my reasoning. Now, as for why Steph Curry is number 2 on my list, obviously this year he just got done averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on 44% shooting, 38% from 3, 92% from the free throw line. Just got done winning the championship and finals MVP. Actually elevated his play against the number 1 defense in the league, that being the Boston Celtics, to 27 points per game and shot 40% from 3 against the Celtics. And that's the thing I wanted to talk about with Kevin Durant. You see how Steph Curry played good against the number 1 defense? I feel like Kevin Durant can do that same thing. And I felt like this season was more so I don't want to say an off season for Durant, and that's why I put him above Tatum. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, nigga. We're not seeing KD play like that ever again. Fuck you talking about. Fuck. But back to Curry. Averaged 27 points per game, shot 40% from 3 against the number 1 defense. Whew, that's crazy. And he still has that gravity despite his worst shooting year of his career, which is crazy. Now, as for why he's only number 2, like I just stated, this was one of his worst shooting years of his career. That does show some type of sign of slowing down, but still 38% from 3, 44% overall. Those are great shooting splits. Like, those are NBA All-Star kinds of shooting splits. I would live with that. I would take that. Obviously, he needs to develop on the defensive end, but it's clearly way past that. He will not. And yeah, that's really it. There's not much to say about Steph Curry this year other than his defense was spotty and that this was one of his worst shooting years and people still feared his shooting. As for the best player in the NBA today, you all need to give this man his flowers. There's no one better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I'll say it. I'm a Bulls fan, so I had to sit there and watch the nigga pound our shit, no homo, for 5 games straight. But it's just no one I see that's better than him. This year, Giannis averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists on 55% shooting, 29% from three, 72% from the free throw line. Is only 1 year removed from winning champion and finals MVP himself. He's a top 5 offensive and defensive player in the NBA today. And it's shown making All-NBA first team and All-NBA defensive first team. And even this year against the number 1 defense in the playoffs. Y'all love hearing me talking about playoff elevation because that's where people really make their money. That's where the best players really show up and show out. So in the playoffs this year, against the number 1 defense, Giannis just so casually just happened to average a cool 34 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. Without Chris Middleton, against the number 1 defense, just casual, 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. Casually. And the only weakness you can tell me about Giannis right now is his shooting. That's the only one. And the fuck does he need to shoot for when he could just bully everyone in the paint? Man, Giannis is nearly the perfect player in the NBA today, man. He's got the perimeter defense. He's got the interior defense. He can grab rebounds. He can pass the ball. He can facilitate. He can score the ball. It's nearly nothing that Giannis cannot do on a basketball court, and people need to give him his flowers. But yeah, man, that's my top 10 list in the NBA today. Let me know how y'all feel about this. Let me know what y'all would change. Who do you all think that I should have given more context to? Maybe you all think Tatum over KD after the playoffs this year. And if you all were to say that, I actually wouldn't even debate it. I could understand. Those two are interchangeable to me. Yeah, like I said, the honorable mentions, any one of those dudes could take James Harden's spot. So I'm not really too mad about that. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. And I'm out, real niggas. Deuces.